Just a week ago, we were talking about BC getting into an easier part of their schedule. Well, if they played like they did last week, nothing on their schedule is going to be easy.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome. This is Locked On BC. I'm your host, AJ Black, editor and publisher of 247's Eagle Insider. Thank you all for joining us. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first order. Now, we could continue talking about the Louisville game, but if you're like me, I don't want to talk about it anymore. We've had Mitch on. I've talked about the game itself twice. I'm done with it. I don't want to talk about Louisville anymore. And I think it's time that we look at a game that is now super critical, which is the UVA Cavaliers, or the Who's as they go by. So this is a battle of two teams at the basement of the ACC. Boston College is 0-2 in the ACC. They have their one narrow win over Holy Cross, while UVA hasn't won a game yet, but they haven't played an FCS school yet. To their credit, they almost beat NC State last week. Their quarterback, Anthony Calandria, he willed them into that game. He threw for 271 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And if it wasn't for dumb penalties down the stretch, UVA would have won this game. Does that sound familiar? Dumb penalties down the stretch. Yeah, I think us Boston College folks all know exactly what that's like. And I think that's what's going to happen in this game. You're going to have a matchup here of two teams with two young quarterbacks. Calandria is I don't know what year he's at. He is a fresh sophomore. And you have Thomas Castellanos, who is a sophomore as well. So two guys that are just getting used to their offense. Both have some decent weapons. Malik Washington was ACC wide receiver of the week this week for the Who's with 2 touchdowns. I think he had 10 catches. A little nerve-wracking right there. But they're two teams that are also chaotically bad. I think that's a good way to put it, right? UVA got smoked by Maryland. They've also played well against NC State. They looked really bad against Tennessee. They've been up and down all year long, but mostly down. They've been outscored 37-20. They also lost to James Madison as well, 36-35. But when I look at this game, and what worries me about this is you have a exciting but erratic quarterback who can do some things. You have decent wide receivers, not a bad defense, not a great one either. I mean, they're allowing 37 points per game, but a team that's hungry for a win. I think Tony Elliott's on like a 6 or 7 game losing streak here. This team was going to come in and want to win. And if Jeff Hafley has this team coming out flat, like they did against Florida State, like they did against Holy Cross, like they did against Louisville, like they did against NIU, they're going to lose this game. The odds, FanDuel has their odds out, and I think it's either 3 or 4 points right now in favor of BC. But the Eagles cannot afford to come out there and look like crap. I don't care what UVA's record is or how bad they've played. BC has played equally as bad, and they've been coached equally as bad and underwhelming in every aspect of this game. They need to get out there and assert themselves. You have a quarterback in Thomas Castellanos that can just go right out there and score touchdowns, but he can't wait until middle of the second quarter. They need to establish themselves. They need to show the team and the fan base that last week, they started off slow, but they can turn things around. I heard Hafley's comments, and we'll get into some of the other ones today. It's family weekend. Parents' weekend are going to be there, right? He's expecting a loud crowd, and he's hoping there's going to be a lot of students in support. And students, to their credit, have always been the best for BC sports, for BC football. They're there all the time, and they have been crazy for the last couple of years. They deserve a good team. So I have no doubt they'll be there. But I also sense, and I'm sure he knows it too, and he kind of mentioned it, that people are getting angry. If BC goes out there and say they let up a touchdown or two right off the bat, and Castellanos is slow to start, you know what's going to happen. They're going to get booed. There's people out there, you see them on Twitter, you see them on social media, that are livid, right? And I don't blame them for where this program is right now. They are dying for a reason to boo again, and it could get ugly. These players don't deserve it. You know, they need to execute at a higher level, but they're kids, right? Like, I don't want to hear them getting loudly booed or jeered or whatever. But that's on the staff. The staff needs to get this team ready. And I'm worried about this game. When your opponent's big strength is that they've got a couple of good wide receivers, they got two really good ones, and your issue is you didn't stop the pass at all last week, that is worrisome. And the fact that we're talking about it this way, because if you look at Anthony Calandria's stats, he's not that impressive. But BC has had a tendency under Jeff Hafley to play down to whoever they're playing against. We saw it with NIU. We saw it with Holy Cross. I mean, we could go on and on about all the schools that they've, UConn, everyone. He doesn't put teams away, and he doesn't put his team up and above where they need to be. Calandria shouldn't, let's put it this way. If this was Steve Addazio, and you guys know I am not a fan of the Steve Addazio era. If this was Steve Addazio, this team would be prepared and would win this game. He never had issues with beating teams that were 50-50 teams. Every time he'd go out there and either have them rally, win, or be close. I don't feel that confidence with the current administration. I feel like they don't ever put teams away. They're struggling against 50-50 opponents, and it's a mess. So when I see what UVA can do, I'm worried because I don't know if the secondary is going to come out looking as completely lost as it did last week. If this defensive front line is going to get zero pressure again and lose containment and blow assignments on screen passes and all that kind of stuff. All of these are big issues that need to be worked out, but I have seen so many issues with this team so far, and they all just kind of come and go, and they come back, they leave, that I'm fluttering in my faith that this is going to be a win for BC, because I'm just waiting for whatever issue is going to come up next, whether it's going to be the defense, penalties comes back, drops. I don't know. It's not fun. We'll just leave it at that. Now, in a moment, I want to talk about Hafley's press conference and go over some of the things he said, because he gave some updates I think you guys need to know about. He also looked at some of the issues, and he had one specific comment I want to read out and talk about, because I think you guys all have your own 2 cents on what he said, because it's a little bit controversial. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Now, I love going to games. I am going to be going to the UVA game. I'll be out there with you guys. I'm not going as a media member. My one game a year where I can go with my family. I'm bringing my parents, my in-laws, my kids. It's going to be a big event. I can't wait to go. So you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events with you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. So I am going to be using this to find my BC tickets. I'm going to look to see what I can find, and I'm going to wait. I think I'm going to wait to see what kind of flash deals I can find, because I feel like I can get some really good ones. So if you're thinking of going to the game too, you might want to check out Game Time. Game Time has deals and tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's that the place to find last minute seats. And with Zone Deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. This is Locked On BC. I'm your host, AJ Black. And on Monday, Jeff Hafley had his weekly press conference to talk about the upcoming game against UVA and some of his last thoughts on the Louisville game. So I was really interested to hear what he had to say because, now he's had a chance to watch the film. Now he had a chance to see what was going on. And I have to say, no disrespect to the staff, but what I heard was not all that comforting that they're figuring things out. Basically, he talked about the team needs to come out faster. And the way to do that is to take care of yourself, whether it's rest, sleep, hydration, and food. They need to eat well, sleep well, and drink well, right? Great. I felt like there was bigger issues than that, but that was what he started with. And I was like, okay, you're kind of losing me here. Where is this going to go next? And so he had a quote, and this is what I wanted to read and talk to you about today, because I have my thoughts and I want to talk about them. So he said, I don't want it to be, this is about the Louisville game. I don't want it to be put that the corners didn't play well. That's not the case. I think 2 screens went for big plays, combination of the D-line, the pass rush. It's a combination of the linebackers doing their job. It's on the entire defense. So 2 things here. First of all, no coach is going to throw his players under the bus. Unless it's Deion Sanders, which I think he does sometimes. I don't know if he still does, but most coaches do not throw their players under the bus. So I get it. On the other hand, how could you watch that game, what you saw in front of you, and say the corners didn't play a good game? I don't want to put it that the corners didn't play well. They didn't play well. They had a bad game. You can say that. That's the legit facts here. They got torched over and over and over again. So that's part of it, right? But I do get what some of what he's saying, right? Like the issues with the defense, again, all goes back to him. Like all of this is on Jeff Hafley and Azar Abdul-Rahim and Sean Duggan. Defense isn't just, Jalen Cheek out there or Elijah Jones. It's 11 guys playing. So when a play blows up or a play just falls apart, there's a lot of moving parts and reasons why it doesn't work. And yeah, we've all talked about the linebackers. They haven't been very good. We've talked about the defensive line and in the disappearing act of Donovan Azaraku, who had just a line of zeros for this game. It is all those parts, but it's on the staff to put that together, to fix that. Like, I don't know what he's talking about here. Like, the corners were bad. Everyone else was bad. And that's the bottom line here. Like, BC's defense, you can't say that. You can say the cornerbacks didn't play well. The lack of speed, and as Mitch said, the fact that players didn't seem to know where they were supposed to line up or what holes they were supposed to hit is bad. And missed assignments and whatnot. You would think at this point you would have your players ready for this, and that's on the staff again. Like, they need to just know this is not like holding hands here. This is the 4th game of the season, and that they don't know where to go on certain types of plays. That's bad. So in one sense I get it, but on the other, like, man, they were just bad, and you got to call a spade here. All right. The other piece that I thought was really interesting was about the injuries going on with BC. Now, we've said on this podcast Hafley is affable. He's a nice guy, right? But sometimes the injury news, it comes when he wants it to come out, and sometimes he does not release anything else that's going on. So there was some injuries that happened in this game, and we got to hear updates on where they're at. So he said Kai kind of limped off, Kai Robichaux, the running back. Kai came back in and kind of banged up after how hard he played against Florida State. He should be good to go. Pat Garwo looked fresh, so we're going to need to get Pat the ball more. Everyone else will be practicing full tomorrow. The one missing piece here is Ozzie Trapilo, who disappeared in this game. Now, I was talking to Mitch about this off the air, and he's like, maybe they just took him out because, they were out of the game. And I hope that's the case. I hope this isn't one of those things where he's being purposefully evasive so that the opposing teams don't know that their starting tackle is out, because they need Trapilo back. You cannot go back out there with your second line out there again. So that was interesting to me. And then finally, the last piece that I want to talk about is he did give an update on Bryce Steele, and this is like away from all the crap that's going on with this team. The nerve, like the situation with Steele is very vague because no one knows anything, because it's personal medical information and he doesn't have to go out and say it. But we haven't seen him, and we don't know what's going on, and we don't know if he'll ever return, because we don't know what it is. But he said, we miss him. Take out the player. He's a great player. He's a starting linebacker. Miss him out there. His leadership, his toughness. He came with us on the away game. He helps us out. Our prayers are with him. So there's no updates on where he's at. They don't know that, they're waiting for Bryce and his family to feel comfortable talking about what's going on. I don't know what that is. I honestly, I'm not holding this back. I don't know. But I hope Bryce is okay. Sometimes there's more than football here. This is one of those situations where it sounds like it's pretty serious. If it's enough to keep him off the field already for a month, and it sounded like it was pretty significant before, hopefully he'll be okay. I hope he's okay. And my thoughts and prayers go out to his family too, so that, hopefully they can figure out what's going on and get him back on his feet, and whether it's with football or something else. I just wanted to say, I hope Bryce is, if he's listening, is out there. I hope he's doing well. In our final segment, I have some thoughts on recruiting and the current state of BC. After losing on Kirby Lambert, I want to tell you guys where I think things are going with the Eagles. We'll get to that in just a moment. But let me tell you all about DoorDash. I love getting myself things on DoorDash. Like when I am missing my milk for my cereal, or I ran out of my favorite, pods from my Keurig. With DoorDash grocery delivery, you can get what you want right when you need it. Love the convenience of getting what you want right to your door. With DoorDash grocery delivery, you can stock up for a week of and order last-minute cravings conveniently. You'll get exactly what you ordered, or we'll make it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked for yourselves. With easy substitutions right in the app and best-in-class customer support, DoorDash delivers groceries exactly how you want it. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to $20 value when you use promo code LOCKEDONCollege at checkout. Limited time offer. Terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code LOCKEDONCollege. Don't forget, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. So let's chat a little bit about recruiting. And if you're listening at home, I can hear your voices saying to me right now, AJ, who the heck wants to come to BC? And I don't blame you. I don't blame you if that's what you think. And honestly, I don't think you're that wrong, because I think right now BC recruiting has stalled out. There was the fun story of Kirby Lambert, and I have to tell you, if Boston College had won more last year or started off 3 or 4-0 this year, I think BC would have had a much better chance of getting Kirby Lambert. I think he might have stayed, but that's not what's in the cards. So you lose a 4-star out of your backyard. Like, 4-stars are not going to come play, 4-star blue chips, when it's like, do I go to Notre Dame? Hey, they were on national television and just went toe to toe with Ohio State, or I go to BC, who just got embarrassed by Louisville. It it seems pretty clear. You see the future of the program and you're like, I'm not going to go down that road. So now you're on to plan Bs. And it looks to me like BC is still looking for offensive linemen. They made 2 new offers to a kid, and I have them right in front of me, and of course I put it away. What was his name? Tristan Fortenberry. I almost said Josh Fortenberry. Tristan Fortenberry and Cyrus Corley. I love the way his name is spelled. Syris. Both guys have Power 5 offers, so it's not like you're just dredging the bottom of the ocean for offers. But I think back to like, okay, so one guy has an offer from Texas Tech. Another one has an offer from like Tulane, which isn't even a Power 5, but they're a good program, right? Why would either of these guys want to come to BC at this point? Like, I'm just being realistic. I'm not trashing the program. I'm just saying, like, thinking as a recruit, this team is 1-3. They got embarrassed by Louisville. Like, the buzz around this program is at an all-time low. They're going to go elsewhere. Like, I talked to one of them, and I've talked to recruits, and like some of these newer ones, like they don't know anything about BC, which honestly is probably a good thing at this point. But I have to imagine, like, especially when you're trying to pull kids from the South, like one of these kids is from Mississippi, the other one's from Texas. Do they want to come to BC at this point? I'm not sure. I think unless BC starts winning some games, BC's at 13 commitments right now. Unless they start really getting into some recruits that maybe aren't Power 5 recruits, and I hope they don't just blow. I mean, at this point, if your options are going for a group of 5 recruit that'll never play in the ACC, or hoping to sell a transformation in the transfer portal, you're probably going to have a better chance in the transfer portal, no matter how bad the program is right now. I don't think BC recruiting is going to have much success unless they start winning some games. It's just the bottom line right now. Now, luckily, the guys that they have locked in, like they've got a pair of really good wide receivers from Texas, Josiah Martin and Cedric Lott. They have such a strong relationship with Darrell Wyatt. They're not going anywhere. Well as they've played, I don't think they're going anywhere. Running back Turbo Richard from South Carolina, who's had a good start to his senior year, I don't see him going anywhere. Like that's like the positive end of like having a recruiting class that isn't super special right now, but like they're not bad. Like these guys aren't going to get poached. You don't have like poachable guys. But if you're playing poorly, guys like Henry Hasselbeck aren't going to come here. Like they could either stay at Michigan State and hope that their new coach is going to want them on their program, or they can come and risk it all at BC again. Because let's face it, folks, like if this continues the way it is now, this whole class could just disappear. Because if BC doesn't make a bowl and the board moves on and they decide that they're going to fire Hafley, you know there's going to be a wave of decommitments. That's when things will get sticky, right? Like you could lose these guys. I don't think it. I think if Hafley stays, and I know you guys don't want to talk about that, but if he stays, there's more of a chance that these guys are going to stay. If they leave, you're going to get a much smaller class than they have right now. So it's in a really funky position right now. That's again why this UVA game is huge. You need to win this. You could start some momentum here. But they've got to fix a lot, and they got to not play like they've been playing. And, 4 games is a pattern, and I'm not sure it's fixable. So you got UVA, you got Army. These are games that if you're playing good, you could show to recruits, hey, we got a couple wins here. We're now 3-3. Look at us. But will that come out? I don't know. Sorry to be so down, but I'm just being realistic with you folks. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Hafley's got to figure it out. It's his job on the line. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be joined by, I'm going to probably mess her name up, and I apologize. Jackie, oh gosh, where's my, sorry. Jack, she's the owner of 247's UVA site. And she is going to join us to talk about the upcoming game. So you want to check that out. I'm going to be on her podcast as well, talking BC. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll also get into basketball releasing their ACC schedule and anything else in between. Thank you all so much. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. And again, if you have not done so already, we're bringing on BC Hockey Blogger onto Eagle Insider. You guys, if you're hockey fans, you know who this guy is. He knows his stuff. We have a 50% off sale to celebrate him coming in because he's going to bring in a level of hockey coverage, and hopefully I'll get him on the podcast too, that you're not going to get anywhere else. This guy knows his stuff. He knows recruiting. He knows, the ins and outs of hockey. You're going to love him. So come over to Eagle Insider, sign up today, 50% off. We have a ton of new subscribers coming in for hockey coverage. So I hope to see you guys all there too. We'll be back again tomorrow. We'll see you all again soon. Take care.